Hey everyone, I'm going to do my first review. It's going to be on the Imagitarium 6.8 gallon self-contained aquarium. I got it a couple years ago. It started out as a hospital tank and then eventually became a spot for my molly fry to hang out in until they got a little bit larger. So basically what I'm going to do is go through the pros and the cons, go through it step by step to kind of give you guys an idea of what I think about the aquarium. So we'll start with the pros. The initial pro is that it is a pretty nice looking aquarium. Aesthetically, it works really well. And that concludes the pros list. So now we move on to the cons. I'm not overly happy with this aquarium. I feel like it does have a significant number of flaws. So I figure the easiest way to address them is just start at the top and go to the bottom. So we'll start with the light. So it's a standard LED with a blue light option. It's pretty bright, and the other thing I don't like about it, along with it not being adjustable in terms of the brightness, you also can't adjust the height of the light. And it's not, it might be maybe 3 to 4 inches above the top of the cover. So it's really an intense light, and I found that it really promotes a lot of algae growth. As we move down, now that we've mentioned the cover has to come off completely anytime you want to access the tank. That's also a pain. So it's not anything that can flip up or slide. You've got to remove the entire cover in order to access the tank. Also, because it's a self-contained aquarium and because the light is so low and where it's positioned, a lot of the light shines into the back compartment, which I'll show you in a minute. But it shines into the back compartment, and I found that I was getting a significant amount of algae growth in the back of the tank as well. So then we can move into the internal self-contained filter system. The filter itself is pretty junk. It has very little suction. It doesn't actually pull a whole lot of water through. The media is fairly basic. It's biosponge, and then you've got a activated carbon, and then some biomedia, but it's not a really ideal setup. I didn't find that the filtration was significant. I actually, for a while, had a sponge filter in there to actually provide some kind of filtration. The other thing I don't like about the filter setup is on the top and the bottom, and I'll show you these a little bit closer. They have these slits, and the slits are to allow the water to go in. But the bottom ones are so close to the bottom of the tank that you really can't have any substrate back by those, or they end up getting sucked into the filtration, which obviously presents a problem if you want to have any kind of a substrate. You can see here I've got quite a good chunk of substrate in the front, but it drops off dramatically as we go to the back. At one point I actually had some PVC that I'd cut in half to put around the bottom of the slits just to prevent the substrate from going into the gaps. Another issue that I found with it is the shape of the filtration compartment. It's a trapezoid for some reason, and what it does is you end up with these ridiculous angles in the back corner of the aquarium that you just can't access. Trying to use a toothbrush or any kind of sponge, it's super difficult to access those back corners. So you just get, and because the filtration isn't sufficient enough, you just end up with all kinds of stuff building up in those back corners. So this is a top view of the aquarium. You can see the filter compartment in the back. And you can see here, these are the ridiculous angles that I was talking about, where you can't access this part right here because it's such a tight angle. But you can't get your hand down in the filter compartment. At least I can't get my hands down in there because it is so tight. So these are the upper slits that are supposed to allow the water into the filtration. Those ones I don't really have too much of a problem with. Then when you look at these bottom ones, you can see that's the bottom of the tank right there. And I have very little substrate back here, but you can see it's already resting right at the bottom of those slits. So I'm using black diamond blasting sand as my substrate. It's not super fine, but it is fine enough to the point where it does end up going through those slits, and I actually have little piles of it that I can't access inside the filter compartment. I suppose I can add on an additional positive. It does have a nice little pad down here at the very bottom that's attached to the base of the aquarium, so it's kind of a minor thing, but with as few positives as this aquarium has, I might as well throw that one in too. So that's a quick review of the Imagitarium 6.8 gallon aquarium. Because I am so frustrated with this aquarium, what I'm actually going to be doing is breaking this completely down. I have a 10-gallon aquarium that I'm going to be putting all of this stuff into. I'm going to be breaking it completely down, and I'm going to remove the filtration compartment. I'm not sure how it's going to go. I'm hoping it goes fairly smoothly, but we'll see. But if you're interested in seeing that, feel free to subscribe. Those videos will be coming along shortly once I get a chance to, again, break this down and modify it so that way it's a much more functional aquarium. So I appreciate you guys stopping by. If you have any questions or comments, suggestions, feel free to let me know, and I hope to see you all soon.